Good evening, everyone. Right, it's Saturday evening. I'm sat down watching TV. The mini dinosaurs are begging for food. So, how you doing, Lottie? Okay, I'm alright. I can see some of the decor's just sort of come off the back of the tank. I need to put that back. They're loving the new cave we made last time. I clean them out. Everything's settled really nicely. They've had a couple of feeds. It's all going well. There's Jellybean hiding in the back there. We can just see Jax's tail. Right. I guess I better go and get some worms ready. I'm really struggling with worms this year. Yeah, I always got the dendro worms from Willie's Worms. The first 2 years I had my own wormery. And that worked really well. And then we had a really, really hot summer and I lost a load of worms. So I've been buying them in smaller quantities, split them into fishing tackle boxes. And that's been working well. And then the last 6 months I've been losing so many. And the postage on them is so expensive now. I'm really struggling. We don't have any decent local suppliers. But, right, I've gone to use the ones that I used 3 days ago and they've rotten, which is just ridiculous in 3 days. So I've gone and got the ones out of the garage. Let's see what they think of these. So I'll chuck some down to Lottie. Those of you who know me and know my gang, I overfeed less often. So 2 or 3 times a week they will have a big feed. The worms stay in there for a couple of days. They eat as many as they want, and I find that way no one gets left out. Hey, is that tasty? And it also means they get to do some hunting, show some sort of natural behaviours. And I'll find that some days one's really hungry and the others aren't. And by doing it this way, rather than dangling a couple in front of them every day, the days they are hungry, they can eat as much as they want. Right, Jax is going to be miserable. He's hiding down the back, so I'm just going to pop some down here. Let's grab that bit of... There we go. See if Jellybean comes forward. Now, the worms aren't going to all disappear out the tub, so I better get them all in. I used to try and drop them straight in front of their noses. I now know there's no need. They'll have to do a bit of work and come and find them. Right, so that's all the worms in. Let's have a sit down and we can have a watch and see what happens. Right. See if anyone comes forward. So it's obviously Lottie's turn to really be hungry today. Let's just stabilise the camera there for a minute. There we go. And as I said, they all have their different days. Usually it's Jax. Jax is my biggest Lottle. He is 13 inches now. Fully grown, he shouldn't get any bigger. He is 5 years old. Yeah, coming up 5.5. So that should be him full grown. Lottie, he's full brother, is a bit smaller. He's 11.5 to 12 inches. And then Jellybean, my rehome, is about 11 inches. I can see the worms actually going towards Jellybean. Their faces are gorgeous, aren't they? And I do love how he's becoming far more of a dirty Lucy as he gets older. So he was completely white, completely leucistic, and as he's getting older, we're getting more of these black markings, which is what makes him called a dirty Lucy. They're all characters. I know Jax and Lottie far better than I do Jellybean, although I've had him several years now. He only came sort of a year after these guys, but he's just a quieter character. Whereas usually when I'm watching TV, Jax is up wanting to watch TV with us. I can just see his eye down there. He's just sort of looked up and gone, ooh, I sense there might be food. But since the last tank clear out, I've made them lots of different areas. They've got more levels in here, which I think is really nice for them. And then if anything, they've made those levels more distinct by their crash landings when they go up for air and come back down. And I really would like you guys to come forward and eat some worms, because the downside of tank clear out is there's more places for the worms to hide. You can see Jellybean's just sort of flapping his floofs. He's quite happy back there, but trying to decide what he's doing. People have asked me, are they entertaining pets? I don't know that you could say sort of really. I think they are. And when they're up and out and waving at you and swimming around and wanting to interact, they really are fab pets. But other than that, they're not there for our entertainment. They just sort of do their own thing, really. And I find that fascinating in its own way. I came in earlier and Jellybean was planted in this pot, tail down, head up, and just frozen there in proper dino mode. And I sort of came in and he went, here, and just sat there. That's what he does. They can be still for ages. They don't necessarily do things. To the point that when my mum first came to stay and the Axolotls were in their smaller tank, Jax gave a very good dead Axolotl impression, and I think she spent her evening researching Axolotls and wouldn't go to bed until she was convinced he was actually alive. But they really do, they just sort of plant themselves in the most weird positions and just look dead. It's fairly easy to see why these guys aren't doing so great in the wild. Any other animal, or pretty much any other, you'd put food in like that and they'd at least sense it was there. These guys just don't seem to. They really aren't the brightest. But I think that's possibly what makes them so endearing. We all like them because they feel like they need to be taken care of. They've got those peeling faces. They bring out the sort of nurturing side, don't they? Well, until they get a worm caught on their foot. You got a dancing worm, Lottie. He's trying to decide whether he can manage dessert as well. You've had breakfast, you've had lunch. Can you do dessert? He says, I'm not quite sure. I might have just had a bit too much. It's a bit much when your food's actually dancing around in front of your nose, trying to get eaten. You missed. It's interesting watching their reflex action, even when they're not hungry. You can see they feel the need to try and eat. can't believe neither of you are coming forward. Just be quick, guys, the worms are slithering away. You're just making this whole video about you, aren't you, Lottie? I'd love to hear where you're all from and how easy it is for you to get axolotls, because they're pretty easy here. I'm in Devon, which is England in the UK, and they're so easy to get hold of that we have the Axolotl Reptile Rescue, who are always inundated and overfilled. Because a lot of people don't think about the amount of room they need, the amount of time they need. I love this aquarium, but to clean out this aquarium properly with the external filter, etc., is about 3 hours work. I don't have to do it too often. That's the advantage of the bigger tank. But then if you have something smaller, you're giving yourself more work on a daily basis. Right, I think we'll wait for a while, see if the other's going to wake up. Right, the worms have actually gone round. One of them has just fed itself to Jellybean. So he's quite happy. He's had his first wormy snack. I've been asked whether I end up with dead worms feeding like this. The answer is no. I think maybe if I had one axolotl, I would. But you see these ones going under branches and under the rock? That one going under the rock's already been under and come out twice. And this is what happens. They go in places, but they come out again. And when they come out, one or other of the axolotls is hungry. And nabs it up. So no, I think at the most I might have had a couple of dead worms on clean out days, which isn't bad at all, considering how many clean out days they've had. Obviously if I did see a dead worm, I'd fish it straight out, but it just really doesn't seem to happen. Are you full? Well, you have eaten quite a lot, Lottie. You are a plain Jellybean hiding where we can't see you, but that's your prerogative. I can't believe Jax hasn't come out to see us. Lottie's just deciding whether he needs to have a swim up for air or not. He can't quite make his mind up. I thought Jax was going to wake up. He sort of put his head up, had a look around, and went back to bed. Hey. You deciding whether you can manage one more or whether you need to go up for air. Big decision, Lottie. Right, Jax has just had the worm that was slithering over his way, and it's fed itself to him. I was about to say the worms aren't brightest, but then we don't really expect them to be, do we? They really do seem to actually go and feed themselves. No, you didn't like the taste of that one? I'm afraid, sorry about the crunching sound. There's a certain small person down there. Is that tasty? Is it? Good boy. I reckon you must feel how you do after a sort of all-you-can-eat buffet. Can I actually be bothered to move or do anything else? Or is that me done for the day? Now you will notice my axolotls aren't overweight. Sometimes I think I'd quite like to see Lottie with a little bit more on him. But they have free rein, as you've seen, as much food as they want. But they also have to move. They're not just in an empty tank with a bare floor that they can't get purchase on. These guys have to climb over things, clamber, swim to get around their home, the same as they would in the wild. And it's part of what keeps them fit. Oh, we're back in dinosaur mode. Jellybean's decided to go and pose and look at his own reflection. Yes, you are gorgeous. Jax is having another go at that worm. It's a bit like when you go to a zoo, I guess. And the animals have brilliant enclosures, but it can be a bit disappointing because you don't always see them because they've got suitable enclosures that they can choose to hide in. It's like that with the axolotl. If you want to see yours every day, by all means have a bare tank with nothing in. It's no fun for them. It's not replicating their natural lives at all, but you'll be able to see them every day. Whereas the more you put in the aquarium, the more chance there is of going a little while without really seeing much of them. Is he actually going to eat this one or is he going to spit it out? No, he spat it out again. Meanwhile, Lottie's still deliberating that big swim. There was a fashion a few years ago of having really shallow tanks. Oh, Jellybean's gone and got himself a worm. That's why he did it over to that corner, I think. There's quite a few in there. So yeah, as I was saying, there was a fad of really sort of shallow tanks with the belief that that's all they needed. With babies, yes. With adults, no problem at all. And the big advantage, the deeper tank, the cooler it stays. In summer, when everyone's struggling to keep their tanks cool, this one's no problem at all because of the depth. And there's a plant axolotl. That's not bad, Lottie. Well done. You can see they're not always great. He's the better of mine and not having crash landings when they come back down. Jellybean looking quite satisfied in there. Hey. Right, well, we'll give them another few minutes and see if anyone else wakes up. Right, Jax is going into battle yet again with that same worm. I think it's the same one. It'd make your life easier, mate, if you just came forward and picked from any of the other worms available. My poor plants. See that Java fern's not doing very well. And now Lottie's been up for air. He's decided that he's hungry again. So he is just actually, when he landed quite awkwardly, and I thought, oh, that's a bit weird, maybe playing with dead axolotl thing, looking a bit concussed. But he wasn't, he was spying on a worm under the stone there, and he's just waited for it to come out so that he can nab it. You really were hungry today, weren't you? So it makes me think the quality of the worms isn't too bad at all, but Jax is just being fussy with his one. Or he's unfortunately got the one bad tasting one. Although he's definitely going down this time. And the thing is, hidden away at the back there, he might have had one or two and I wouldn't have noticed. He's sneaky like that. You can see how this tank really gives them areas to hide in and to show sort of natural behaviours, which is exactly what I'm aiming for. It's just a bit of a shame they're so hard on live plants. Jellybean's just contemplating the one in front of him. Does he need any more? I'll leave him pondering there for a minute. So I use quite a wide variety of decor. The rock that Jellybean sort of is an artificial rock circle, that one. I've had that quite a while, but it's nice because it's a bit lighter weight. Whereas there's a bit of slate here is heavy. That's one decent bit of rock. I've got a branch that was from Pets at Home and should have been for aviary birds, but the fixtures that should have been sort of on this end to attach it to the cage were missing. So that was in the sale. So I nabbed that for them. Terracotta pots, I've got this one, quite a nice size, fairly shallow, but with the plants around, still gives loads of coverage. And you'll see in previous videos I've also got 3 smaller ones stuck together, one on top of 2, and that makes for quite a nice shelter. They had a proper cave when they were younger, but the size they are now, I prefer to find other ways. Another plant pot, taller one, that one. They can hide behind it. That's terracotta. That's the main sort of items we've got in there. Now, everything else is either artificial or live plants. And they can sort of bash their way through those if they want to or need to. I've given them nice sort of areas between these items. This artificial plant here is a new one, and it might actually almost be a bit big. I didn't expect it to come so far forward in the tank as this and fill that gap. But again, it does give them really nice cover, particularly come summer and the warmer days. Plants are tricky with axolotls. 2 reasons. One, they're cold water animals. So obviously the plants have got to thrive in cold water and with lack of light. The axolotls don't like lights on for too long. Mine are used to it because they associate it with feeding time, so they're not too worried. But in an ideal world, you wouldn't have the lights on. I have them on for a couple of hours a day at most. And finding plants that can cope with that is tricky. And then, like I said earlier, they do crash land. They aren't delicate little darlings. So finding plants that will cope with that sort of treatment as well That's a bit harder. There's another worm back there literally trying to feed itself to Jellybean. So I don't know how hungry he is still. He's sneaky. He can eat quite a lot without anyone noticing. Here's my one that was rehomed and was at the Axolotl and Reptile Rehoming Centre. So he learnt to eat their way, which is like this. It's sort of having to go and hunt and look for your food rather than having it dangled in front of you from a pair of tweezers or a pair of tongs. So he is quite self-sufficient. I wish he'd come out. He's such a lovely colour. I'm noticing a few green patches on the tank. Now all the water's cleaned from its clear out, I need to take the scraper back round, or the magnetic cleaner, and get a bit more dirt off. He is just too quick for me. He's just grabbed another worm. I think that's the difference. Jellybean doesn't hang around. He grabs the worms and eats them straight down. No messing about. So maybe he's the most likely of mine to survive in the wild. Not that they're going to ever have to, are they? They've got some mug like me bring them food 3 times a week, keeping their home cosy. Cleaning their filter, help keep it healthy. It's not a bad life, is it? He really is so much less dramatic than the others. Whereas sort of Lottie or Jax would now be thrashing around, battling this worm, giving an impressive show. Yeah, he just sort of snaps it down and that's it. Worm gone, fed, sorted. Oh, I've got Lottie creeping forward from this side. He's got a bit fed up because I haven't turned the TV on. No, I haven't turned the TV on. We're talking to your fans. Hey? I want to see your lovely face, and I must say you've been incredibly obliging today. Haven't you? Whereas the wonderful but gormless one in there, still doing dinosaur impressions. Yeah, he's special. He feels safe and sheltered there with plants around him, but that's why this sort of artificial rock with the hole in is quite nice, because he feels safe and happy. I can see him without disturbing him. And we can get a little peek into his life, because he really is the most secretive of them, which is why it surprises me so much. It wasn't that long ago, a few weeks ago, and he was out dancing and playing at the front here. I was like, wow, that's just so not like you. So typically, I'm watching Jellybean, And Jax has just been up to the top for air and has now well and truly planted himself round the back. He has got to be the clumsiest axolotl in the world. But we still love him, don't we, Lottie? Even if he does do the most damage to the plants. Right, everyone seems to have settled down. I do know the moment I stop filming, Jax will come out and start parading like a lunatic. But I want to go and sit and relax for the evening. So, guys, nice to have you along. We'll say goodbye to the axolotls. And hopefully we'll see you again soon. Just go full circle. We're ending up pretty much in exactly the same place we started with Lottie's dinosaur pose. Oh look, unpredictably, Mr. Jax has come out to say hi. Hello, Jax. So Lottie has decided to plant himself for the best view of the TV. I don't know how I brought up a TV addict axolotl, but there you go. And Jax has come out to see if he can find some more wormies and for a bit of attention. Hello, mate. Hiya. We won't spend too long with him. It's just nice to see him after he hasn't been out today. But as he has been the star of so many videos, it's not the end of the world, is it? Oh, apparently it is the end of the world. Apparently he's got to be the star of everything. Is that how it is, Jax? You've got to be the star. I think they're all brilliant. They've all got their own personalities or actionalities. You've got Jellybean in there still, just trying to figure out whether he's full or not, having eaten loads today and in a very sneaky fashion. We've got Lottie wondering why I've turned the TV off and he's lost the... I think it's the... I don't know if it's the sound or light that appeals to him. But he's a bit cross that I've turned it off. And then we've got Jax down here, just wanting some attention. Hiya. Now, is that a face only a mother could love? Or is it cute? Hey, little mini dinosaur. And that's more of a plant squished. He doesn't care. Right, so he's going to go and bury himself at the back. If he can get around there. You want to know what's going on because you're incredibly nosy. Oh no, Lottie's decided to go and hide in the plant pot cave and get over the vast meal he's had today. Well, I'm afraid, Jax, there are plenty more worms around, but you're going to have to go find them. Look, I can see one there. His tail. Two tails. I can see one there. There's one there. I'm sure Jellybean's hoarding another couple. But you're going to have to find them. There's not even any... Actually, go on. Shall I be really nice? Shall I go and get him? One or two worms. Right, there we go. As he is, a big hungry lad. I've just gone and got a couple more worms. Yeah, so he was still hungry. Well, that one went down a lot better, didn't it, than the one he was messing around with earlier. So maybe that one didn't just taste too great. Right, there's another one dropped behind him. And I've definitely got at least another 2 or 3 over this side of the tank. So if he is hungry, there's plenty more for him to come and find. Right, I really will say goodbye now. I think we'd better leave them alone. But again, thank you very much for joining us. Hey. And we'll see you all again soon.